Hello Selvaraghavan, welcome to Film Companion South. Irandam Ulagam, tell me what was your concept, the original vision that said, I have to make this idea into a movie?
The original idea was when you really love a person, like you can travel around, kind of universe to be with that person. Like it's a big idea.
It's a big idea.
Yeah.
Now, when you have a big idea like this and you have to like compress it for a, like supposing you're writing an 800,000 page novel, then yeah, you can really go to town with it. But when you're compressing it into a movie, what are the challenges?
See, a lot of people told me it could have been a better novel or anything like that. But I believe, I think, I don't know who said it, whether it's Spielberg or Hitchcock, I don't know. Like, if it can be written, it can be filmed.
Yeah.
That's what went into my mind. So it is a complicated story about two people living in two different, universes around their life. Think, what if they look along, like something like that.
No, what I mean is, what are the, like, see, when you're presenting a new concept to an audience that is probably not used to too much sci-fi or something like that, what are the challenges? Do you say that I have an idea that is very big, but I have to kind of make it smaller so that it can be contained in a movie, or you just say I'm going to do whatever I want?
See, it is like it's not about blaming people.
I'm not blaming the audience.
I'm myself saying it like, but if all I wish, what like in Arya, if you take it like, what we struggled, at least, what your kind of idea came like in the picture or something like that. But here, very interesting aspect I want to pinpoint and show you is, when Shankar told in an, I think, a recent film, I think, Endrin 2, or he said only me and my associate director are last people standing now. He's said it in the, in the interview, the function or audio function or something like that. No one else is there. We know how much we struggled. To be very frank, I'll tell you, see, talking about Irandam Ulagam, I'm telling you, when you have an idea is big and people come on board and it's going to take little bit of time and everything. When the director has to take blame for other people failing in their departments, they simply say, yeah, I told you, yeah, but it didn't happen, and they simply go there to their life because they're not gonna face the music here. But a filmmaker has to face it,
Right.
Because like that, imagine thinking about right now, I'm saying, see, I've been promised the other world, their skin will look yellow.
Okay.
They look strange. And it didn't happen. I just simply told, see, all through the film, I was working under the impression that they look weird, different, and they're going to look yellow and everything. Like, what happened? No, but I tried, it didn't work out. And that person simply said this and then walked out.
Wow.
And I was sitting there and I was like, what the hell? I was walking out the same way. Sometimes it's a big learning experience for me. And it's a very big learning experience for me that, when it could do, you take everything in your hands. In Arya, I was very careful. I didn't trust anybody. I was like, I want to do it step by step by step. I would do it. Let it come. I was sitting there right from the, even a little bit of VFX shot. I was sitting there till I get it right or something. Here I started trusting. Okay. See, I was giving, it would be very strange to say, yeah, come on, that is VFX department, it's their job.
Right.
Here, the stunt master, their job. Here, it's their job. That's how the movie work, and I paid a huge price for it.
No, so this is not about the forget the film's box office or reception or whatever. What I'm interested in is, what is this film inside?
That's what I'm saying.
That head, and let's just talk about the film itself.
Yeah.
Let's not, so yeah, obviously the visual effects, in fact, in an earlier interview, you told me they promised me olive oil, but I got street oil or something like that. You made a thing. So that's fine. But this idea of even the idea is from a Selvaraghavan who's in a different place, because earlier you would get if a man wants a woman, he would go after her. You know, some people call it stalking, some people call it pursuing, wooing, whatever it is, but the idea is that the man will actively go chase. Here, that itself is kind of reversed, in the sense that the Anushka is kind of the person who says, you know, I like this guy and I kind of go after him. The Anushka in the other world, she gets the big heroine introduction scene, which is the action scene, whereas Arya in this world gets a soft scene which you typically associate with a heroine, with, you know, babies being delivered and, you know, like a kind of a thing. Was that also part of your intention, to kind of muddle up the way we see men and women in our movies, or like the way we generally perceive
It's
them?
about generally about the characters, you know, what
Right.
they are like. Here the guy is soft, like very, and the girl is kind of. I thought it would make it very interesting if we show them in opposite way.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like normally the guys are rough, and let it be the opposite way where the girl is like, you know, really rough and everything, and guy is the soft-natured guy, because there are soft-natured guys like. It's as simple as that. You know?
Yeah. So when you have that, and when you are taking an adventure film, is there, like, it becomes, does it naturally become a like a heroine oriented adventure film? Because the world over, and this is the question I was coming to, they have found that whenever, like, it's something that's very weird, because it's like, as long as the action works or the adventure works, nobody should really care whether it's a woman at the center, or whether, but unless it's like a Marvel kind of movie where you have a Wonder Woman, typically like traditionally the heroine oriented action movie has not kind of worked. Do you have a theory about that?
No, that time it wasn't, but now it is all about the heroine-oriented films. You know,
Right. Yeah.
now,
Now, yeah.
it is all about heroine-oriented films. Everybody started making, like, I hardly see any big films, you know, coming with the hero-oriented films. Gone are the Aquaman kind of films. You know, everything is about Wonder Woman, and even in a normal films, like, you know what, it's about the girl. Everything has come to a girl. I don't know why. Maybe we were trying to do that time.
That
you know,
time, yeah,
like.
yeah.
Like, I don't call it ahead of our times. Maybe he is thinking, yeah, why not that be?
When you write a script, how do you work? Do you do you pass it around with the assistant scene by scene, or do you write a full draft and then pass it to everybody, say what you think? And what was the reaction when?
I think writing a script is a very private process.
Okay.
You know? Like, you write it, and you can't expect other people like just to suddenly pull in and say, you know, it might work, it might. It's out of. It's my experience. What I'm trying to say, I don't believe in, like, you kind of, you know what, put in lot of effort and time, and hear so much of thought process go down one scene or something like that, and I give you a draft and you're gonna just read it, and yeah, this may be right or this may be wrong. Then I thought that so much of process went on here. Only I know, like, what happened in there, like what happened in that particular thing. So, but when it comes to converting it, majority of people are able to realize, like, you know what, oh, this is how it is done. I think writing I think my experience, but it works the other way. Like, when 4 people try to, but what I'm trying to tell you is these 4 people should get involved in the 6 months process.
Right.
Suddenly I continue, give the script to, I finished writing it and give it to my assistants and saying, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? You're not going to get the in-depth, you know what, feedback. That's what I believe.
So you never share your scripts?
No, I never share. Like,
You write a script and you go to shoot?
yeah, I write a script and we think about it once or something. Somebody point out, like, see, it's made out that way, flaws or something like that.
But so you do show it to your assistants?
Yeah, I do. I have to give a script, bounded script to everyone, right?
Yeah.
For them to understand. Like, and I'm welcome to when they come to, you know what, opinions about this or that. I love to. Like, I tried that process. What I'm trying to tell you, I tried that process.
Okay.
But sometimes it, like, okay, not in the general sync or anything like that.
So then now you're saying that you prefer the loner, like, just finish it off as a draft and
no, now the times have changed, and now I think, you see, most of it, like, you write it, you just go through it and let everybody travel with it. Like,
Okay.
People associated with it, and I'm trying it now, like, let's see like where it goes.
So what happened with Irandam Ulagam? Did you, when you wrote it, did you?
Yeah, everybody read it. Like
What was the
everybody read
general
it.
feedback like?
General feedback, like a lot of people said, if you could able to pull it off, like you know what, this like I was narrating this to Hrithik Roshan's father. I think you know what I want to do the same thing, and he said if you're able to pull it off, we'll definitely do it.
Irandam Ulagam?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to do it in the Hindi. Yeah. So it is right now that's what everybody is going through. I think majority, most of it we pulled off. Like
Right.
it came along right or something. Somewhere it didn't like. That's what I'm saying. Like
When you look back at it today, what can you point at anything and say, because you have the distance, sometimes you don't have the distance, but this movie you have about 10 years distance. What are you able to look back and say, like this didn't happen the way I wanted it to? You obviously mentioned the visual part of it definitely, but anything else that you feel that was off?
maybe it is good. What I want to tell people also. If you're going to make a movie and stand by it and gonna work on the film, never try to maybe you are cutting here, cutting there, and trying to minimize there, minimize there to help people, cutting down or something like that. Think that that's the way it is. No, if you have your vision clear, go ahead and whatever the cost is, like go work on it and don't give up. Don't try to help people thinking that it would help them financially, or we have to wrap it up so quickly, like let's do it so fast or anything like that. No, things don't work that way. That's what I learned in that film.
So stick with your vision.
Stick with your vision, and whatever it takes, go through it. How painful it is, go through it. In that film, I never shared this with anyone. Like in that film, I thought, it might help people. You know what? I should finish it off quickly. Maybe I don't have to build a huge set that way. Maybe I should minimize it in a small set so that it would help people. I swear that's what I think.
Right.
I failed in a big way in that film. I have realized it very late. I should have stuck to my vision. I should have, like I'm kind of person also that way. And that film, I thought maybe, that's how it should be. That should be the future, and that should be maybe you're all friends and let's help each other. Or it backfired,
Do you generally believe in the because the central concept of the film is that there is this one ideal person for us? Is that something that you believe in?
Like I don't.
There's one ideal person across the universe for us in terms of finding love. Is that something you believe in?
No, that movie is about not the ideal person. Like
isn't that the one person that Arya keeps finding again and again? That who looks the same way, and there is these matched couples.
It is basically a fantasy, like if we really, that's what I'm saying, if you really, that father says, comes in a scooter and tells him, like, if you really believe, love a person truly, and, I want to underline the fact that truly, you love a person truly, like, what is the true love? Like, how much you will go behind, like, you pass through the earthquakes, you pass through everything. That much you wait, and he lives all of his life for anything, and being a professor or whatever, and just settled in like a gypsy kind of like beggar in Goa and everything. He goes to beyond everything to thinking that maybe like to see her again, it will happen.
It'll happen.
That's what the concept of the movie is. It might happen, but tell me one thing: has anybody lived that kind of life? For one person, if he died, we move on. Like that, the concept of that film is: what if you don't move on and think with the like kind of memories and go and every day and night, and there is a shot where in a tent we've shown that he is just living with her, and like their photographs and living candles, and you go to what point, what extent you go in thinking that then that's what he's saying. Who knows, God might able to give you a glimpse of her. In this case, this person herself.
Right.
You know?
And you might stumble on a portal.
Yeah, stumble on a portal where who knows it's not possible, like because the thing when I was writing it, like saying everything is possible in this world, you know. What if there is another parallel Selva? There is some other person who's you know what, beggar or doing something else in another planet, like, because we have invented only close to what 20% or something like that. Like still we are trying to say there's a life in Mars or anything like that. What if like everything we are talking there is another world, like same thing is happening, even in the holy books they say there is a 7 people.
Yeah.
There are 7 people, you know, there are 7 kind of person like you, like that kind of thing went on, like but do we pay enough? And I think people are okay if we say it in, you know what, Inception or something, but it is when you're trying to throw it here, it's different, you know.
Which is actually the point I was making earlier about, see, I'm not blaming the audience, but there is a general tendency, I think, to accept something, maybe if it comes from the West and maybe not here, which is, I'm not saying that Irandam Ulagam is the most perfect movie on earth, but, you know, there's a certain, you know, I think readiness to maybe like accept something if it comes from elsewhere. So I think that's another challenge that Indian filmmakers may have to face. So
it is, see, it has to be, it's a question only they can answer, you know. Because I want to ask them, like, I saw movies inferior than that is got accepted, or kind of very simple, like, kind of concept like this, like people won't see, like maybe their VFX part they got it right, or I don't know. It is only we have to answer, like why we accept movies.
right, that's right.
You know what? Forgive their flaws.
If you were to look back today, would you have still made the same movie, or would you have written it differently?
No, I would have definitely made a different film.
Okay.
You know, I wouldn't have helped someone.
No, that's sure. But I'm talking about the writing of the film. Would you have changed?
Yeah, I would have made the originally it is a beautiful script. You know, I would have, today the things are different. You know, I would have made it much, you know. Definitely, I would have made a different film. Like, you know,
okay, so you're saying this helping someone that was in the writing also, it showed up, is it? It's like
no.
okay.
Writing was the same.
Same,
like,
okay.
It's the same. Like,
It is, you're talking about the production.
no, it's not about helping someone. There are people I had to help or something. It is my general conception. You know, yeah, let's help people. Like, it should be that way. It's my, I think it's my mistake. You know,
Okay,
like,
okay. So when you have the first half, you have the long courtships between Arya character and Anushka character, which almost functions like a getting to know you kind of person. And again, like in Mayakamana, it's not like I like you, you like me, and therefore let's be together. There's always like one of them is always a little either not in the place to accept it or whatever it is. Tell me about that. Is it again you saying I want to write a complicated romance, or how did you see that relationship playing out?
see, it's not about they are like complicated or something like that. I thought the majority of life it's that way.
This way, yeah.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
Like, really, you think you really believe? Touch your heart and tell me. You really believe that it's going to be all roses when you people meet and then they fall in love and something? Most of the time, I ask that. I always curious. Ask about people's life. What happened? They think that why this man is keep on asking questions, you know, about my life, because I'm very curious. Like, it is like it is complicated when it
Have
comes
you
to
met
that.
happy people, Selva? Like people who like you say roses and Cadbury's chocolate.
You
and-
really ask me? No, I haven't.
Okay.
And I'm not very
No.
you know, complicated person or gonna see toughness and everything. If you ask me really, like, you know, like I'm 45 years old, maybe leave the 10, 12 years to accept, I mean, understand the world or something. All these things, I haven't met a single happy person in my life. Like, all. See, you ask me really, 90% they complain. You know, oh, this is what it happened in life, that's what it happened in life, that's what it happened in life. And how many people, you ask me, I ask you, how many people you have met saying that everything in my life is perfect?
No.
It's all like
Yeah.
beautiful, you know. So when it comes to love, why it has to be different?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And love is a big process. You're going to spend the rest of your life with the person, and there are a lot of things from the bed to Talagani to so many things you have to worry about. Because I know couple who divorced, because they couldn't sleep in the same bed, or they invented that this person is like, snoring. Such a simple reason to going that, oh, this person when he gets angry is like, really I couldn't relate to him. Like, you dated for 7 years, why couldn't you find it that time? Like, because there are a lot of factors after
Yeah.
you realize.
Yeah. But another thing that I found really like interesting in this film is the fact that you have a relationship between the boy and his father, who is like almost like at the start he's like a special child, and then you get that beautiful scene that surreal scene by the moonlight when he comes on a scooter and Arya's not sure, and like first time I saw it, I was like, I was also not sure who's that, is that really the father? And then he gives this wonderful bit of life advice and then goes away. And again, this movie came after Mayakam, and again you have a very gentle father. So your father figures have kind of become like a little mellower. Again, like, is that something that's a fantasy for you, that it would be nice to have somebody like this around?
Yeah, you got it bang on right. Yeah, it is a fantasy for me. Yeah, fathers could be this way, and different fathers. Like, there are a lot of fathers in my films, and that's a different fantasy father. Like, and fantasy son, like, would go any extent of making him happy. Like, they are all meeting for dinner or something like that. I think there are a lot of magical scenes in that film.
Yeah. Actually, the first half, even that scene where I like that bit where that Anushka comes to their house and she meets the father and the son, and her friend is waiting outside. She doesn't know what's happening, and Anushka said, "Oh, I'll stay for dinner," and then suddenly she comes, and without a word, the next scene she's eating dinner along with all these people. It's like one small little gathering has happened like out of nowhere. So that's also when you were writing, you always thought that this Anushka on Earth is going to die, and that's going to make this man search for this on another planet. I mean, now it's not a spoiler, it's so long since the movie's release. Death is actually the most interesting part of the movie to me, because it is such a casual death. It's not like, usually when you think of love stories and you look at the death in them, there's something very dramatic that's happening, that oh my God, she died this way, that's a traumatic kind of thing. Here it's like she's walking, and she just like slips and falls, and he's also laughing, and we are also laughing because we don't know what happened. And then the camera like just goes over her, and you see that's a rock, there's blood. That's something that I want to hear. When you were writing it, did you toy with a slightly different kind of death for her?
Yeah, kind of. See, everything in that film, there should be a little of. As I said, like, fantasy doesn't have to be, world happening in a different way also. And what we don't, this is kind of death happens, we never kind of believe it would happen. There itself is like kind of element of fantasy in it, like, so that kind of, I was thinking, no, let's not it be the big accident, or let it be she's got cancer and she's well, it's because death itself is very suddenly just happened, like that's about, I think, majority of leave the thing. And I think there is a little element of fantasy.
Exactly, because it's as unbelievable as fantasy, right? Yeah.
Like, things could happen, and because what is about fantasy is about little bit of fantasy always comes with a bit of scariness in it. Like, so in this kind of death kind, see, it's as simple as it could be walking to you and suddenly you slip and you may die or something like that.
Would you say Irandam Ulagam is in a way the most optimistic film you've done? Because despite all the obstacles, you still have this great, at the end, the last scene is a big, very optimistic kind of promising scene. Would you say that that's the most optimistic film you've done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I should say yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
See, finally it will happen. Like, if you wait that much and you travel that much and you went through so much, you part of another man's love story and another thing, and finally you end up with your girl. Like, maybe that would be optimistic.
What for you during writing was the most difficult part of this cracking this? Because you're thinking of, see, even an Ayrathil Oruvan, it's relatively earthbound. So even though it's a fantasy, there is a certain we have references to Chola. We have, so you I'm not saying it's easy at all. It's everything is difficult, but there's a certain mental map that you have. But in this, it can be anything. It's all, whatever Selva imagines can be, like, you can't have that in an Ayrathil Oruvan, because there is a certain boundary within which you operate. So when you have unlimited imagination, what was for you the most difficult part to crack in this thing? The whole thing, I'm sure, was difficult, but is there one that stands out as, wow, that I really struggled with that part?
See, it's a very difficult part was, and didn't happen, was like, I was always scared that might whether the other world will come as I imagined.
Okay.
So as I wrote, it is it the same? It's like I write, and I could have shown, I now can show you the picture, I mean, words, like, is it gonna, can we pull it off to that way? Like, unfortunately it didn't happen. Like,
Okay.
that's always I was scared when I was writing it also. And today even I have like very, sometimes, unfulfilled wish. Maybe what if it's like my wife used to tell me, like, I wish I could have seen what you wrote. What you wrote, I could have seen that. So maybe some other time.
Now you're considering a second part of Ayrathil Oruvan. Again, it's a filmmaker does all sorts of things, but do you have a preference between these logistically big movies, or do you look forward more to the slightly complex relationships and the like, let's say Mayakaman versus thing? Is Selvaraghavan both? Your answer is both.
It is like, who says like big films should be like, cost effective, today's world. It can be like you're a normal medium, or you don't have to go all the 100 crores
Right.
to get things done. And today's, if you get it right and you execute it right, and the grandeur can be achieved, you open your film with a grand shot of, like, I'm talking about generally westerns,
Right.
A lot of westerns, you see Clint Eastwood like coming with 100 hours, it's not going to be expensive for you. So it'll be like, it can pull it off, like, very, I might make a very, Ayrathil Oruvan, which you think like, oh, they spend so much of money, but really, like, it's more of a clever way of experience played
Right.
in that film. A lot of movies made that way, that's what I believe in. You don't need 200 crores to, and let's see, wait and see.
So you're saying that Ayrathil Oruvan itself, or even Irandam Ulagam, if made with today's technology, would cost much less.
Yeah.
So that's the big advantage. You don't have to sit with that budget on your head. You can actually, because see, whether you like it or not, a budget is a bit of a headache when you consider it.
No,
right?
budget is everything today. Budget is everything, and I think it would have been like today. I believe today it's really people become professional, and everybody want to part of it. That independent cinema has grown like a lot. If you given me a choice, I would have. Sometimes I normally think that. See, I always want to be an independent filmmaker. Like, sometimes I think, yeah, that's always the option is open. Let's see. One day I pack my bags and say I want to become an independent filmmaker, and throw my ideas and everything. Like,
when you say independent filmmaker, you mean like being able to finance your own films that way?
Not that way.
Like an indie filmmaker.
Yeah, indie filmmaking. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Because I mean I don't know, I'm somehow having a because I've always associated you with star projects or budget projects or whatever it is. It's interesting to consider.
I always want to be an indie filmmaker. like Iranian films, and like some kind of but how it started is when it started making movies, you have to be always like, what things have to work at box office to survive.
Right.
Like, so my real point is that time, okay, let's survive, then you start making your own kind of indie films.
Right.
But then you never got the day. Like you started making, and you got a set of audience, like your fan following, and okay, you have to make movies. Even now, you see, general, I'll try, like, but after a point, it comes to maybe I say I'm done and let's go that way, like take my film to festival after festival and like try to compete in that level, and because I 100% believe I have it in me, like
Right.
that's because that's what I started my life also with that, like, so who knows, like
It's interesting you say that, because for me, Pudupettai at heart is an indie film, even though it's mainstream. But at heart, it's so different from whatever was like considered a gangster film till then, that even when I see it today, I see it like this, like almost like an indie film. I don't see it like a, yes, I know there are big songs, there are all these moments and all that kind of stuff, but it has the spirit of like an indie film. That's kind of a thing. So yeah, it's maybe that's the Selvaraghavan that's waiting to burst out now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Sel.
thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you. Yeah.